Hello and welcome to the Streetwise Property Pulse, your resource for Ontario's real estate investment and financing updates, where we bring to you timely updates and perspectives from leading real estate practitioners, answer your burning questions, and share with you valuable tips and strategies. This is Dalia Barsoum from Streetwise Mortgages. On today's episode, I will share with you the top 5 tips and traps of financing a BRRRR. And no, it is not freezing cold in here. BRRRR stands for Buy, Renovate, Refinance, and Rent. It is one of the most powerful investment strategies you can deploy as an investor today. Through strategic property renovations, you can add additional legal units and enhance the condition of existing units to boost the cash flow from a rental property and force the value up over a very short time period. Due to the lift in value, you can then turn around and refinance the asset. And if you have done it right, you should be able to walk away with a lump sum of capital to pay back the renovations money and also walk away with some capital to invest into your next deal. So essentially, you're rinsing and repeating. Very powerful. In order for you to deploy this strategy successfully, you need the right financing in place at the time of acquisition, as well as at the time you refinance the property. Here are 5 financing tips and traps you need to keep in mind. Tip number 1, take a variable rate when acquiring the property. With fixed rates being very attractive right now relative to variable rates, many investors are tempted to take a fixed rate. The problem when you take a fixed rate when doing a BRRRR is that you are assuming that when you are going back to the lender to refinance the property, that you will be able to qualify for a top-up of the loan or maybe adding a secured line of credit to tap into the equity. Depending on how you personally and the property qualify, as well as the guidelines of the lender you have locked in with at the time of the refinance, you may or may not be able to go back and refinance so soon after the work is done. For example, some lenders require at least 6 or 12 months from the date you purchase the asset to reconsider a refinance at the newly increased value. In some cases, your finances or the lender's guidelines may have also changed by the time you're ready to refinance. And if you have taken a fixed rate mortgage, you will have to then switch to another lender and will be forced to pay a high penalty. Or you'll have to stay where you are until the penalty is manageable, which translates into an opportunity cost. Taking a variable rate will give you flexibility in case you have to switch lenders, as the penalty is often a predictable 3 months interest penalty, which is often lower than the fixed rate penalty. Having said that, always check the fine print, because some lenders may not allow you to even exit a variable rate mortgage even though you're prepared to pay that penalty. Tip number 2, pay attention to the property condition. With a BRRRR in particular, the condition of the property plays a huge role into the type of financing you will obtain at the time of acquisition. As an investor, you may have been pre-approved for a certain loan amount or a mortgage rate, but until the lender sees the asset they will secure their funds against, you cannot seal the approval terms. It is one thing to buy a property that is dated and livable and requires some updating, and it's another thing to buy a property that requires a complete gut job where there is water damage, nub and tube, or foundational issues. Depending on the condition, you may need 25% down versus the 20% down. Or you may end up going to an alternative lender or even a private lender, which equates to a higher cost of borrowing. Always consult with your mortgage broker regarding the condition of the property before going firm on a deal. Ideally, allow for the appraiser's visit to avoid any surprises. Until the lender sees the property and reads the content of the appraisal report, you cannot seal the financing terms. If you wish to go firm due to a heated market, it is important to discuss a backup plan with your mortgage broker. Tip number 3 is to validate your financing exit assumptions. The power in a BRRRR done right is the forced appreciation a property often experiences upon the completion of the reno work. Validating the assumption that you will be able to refinance at 80% of the value after the work is done with a bank is crucial before you enter the deal, because that will have a huge impact on your ROI and your ability to recoup the funds you invested into the renovation. Even when the value has appreciated and when you qualify, some lenders will not allow you to extract that equity so soon after you've done the renovation. Therefore, it is so important that you do your homework upfront and have your broker validate your exit strategy financing assumptions by confirming a couple of things for you. This includes the following. Number one, how much will you be able to take out in funds upon completion, taking into consideration the after reno value, increased rents, the markets where the property is located, the property zoning, the legality of the units, and which lenders you will qualify with. Two, if you're using private financing to acquire the property, how much leverage should you go with upfront? And will you have enough upon exit to pay off the private money? Because sitting on private money is extremely expensive. Tip number 4, plan your reno capital. A very common question that we get is whether or not a lender can roll the renovations into a mortgage. While this is possible under a construction financing setup with some institutional and private lenders, it is not the norm under a standard bank mortgage. The closest thing to getting renovations capital with a bank is a program that is called Purchase Plus Improvements, where the lender approves you upfront for the mortgage plus the improvements you're going to apply to the property, and therefore Purchase Plus Improvements. But even with that product, you will not get capital upfront to renovate the property. The lender expects you to renovate it from your own resources such as cash, hard money, unsecured or secured line of credits, and only once the work is done, and they will give you 3 months to finish it, they will release back to you 80% of that renovation capital since you were approved for it upfront. So technically, the bank is financing the renovation, but in reality, they are only advancing the funds to you once the work is done. For an investor, a Purchase Plus Improvements product works best if the property does not require a major renovation and where the lift in value is not expected to be significant or will surpass the amount of renovations you've applied to the property. For sources of capital to renovate, we often recommend secured and unsecured line of credits as the first line of support, as long as we are able to pay back the bulk or all of it at the time of a refinance. The fifth and the final tip is make the appraiser's job easy. Supporting the appraised value at exit is crucial to the success of your BRRRR, as that is a primary driver of how much equity you'll be able to extract to pay yourself back and ideally to take some funds to your next deal. The more information we equip the appraiser with, the easier their job becomes and the more likely they can support the best value for your property. I suggest you create an executive summary to share with the appraiser, and that executive summary would include the following: before and after reno pictures, how much you've spent on the renovations, a list of the work you did, any permits, and most importantly, sold comparables in the past 90 days if possible. If you're considering deploying the BRRRR strategy or have a property where you've completed the renovations and looking to extract the maximum equity possible at the best financing terms, myself and my team can help you successfully structure financing, manage the risks, and avoid the mistakes. We also have access to various mortgage products geared specifically for investors who are looking to renovate or deploy the BRRRR strategy. And these options include low down payment options as well as products that include the reno capital into the funding. Every deal is unique, and we're happy to help you plan financing for both acquisition and exit. That's it for today. To be notified of our future episodes, please subscribe and press the bell button. I'll see you on the next episode.